Hey everybody, this is Dr. Scott Banks, Banks Chiropractic and Wellness Center and Centers of America in Huntington, certified functional medicine doctor. This is a test that can measure if you have antibodies to the COVID-19. And so I'd like to describe the test to you, and then if you're interested, how to get it done in your own home. This is great because it'll tell you if you're negative, or also tell you if you're positive. So this is a great test, and this is from a company called KBMO Diagnostics. I've been working with this company for several years now and doing my food inflammation test, where they have two panels. One is 132 foods, the other one is 22 foods, and I'm able to look at foods that create inflammation. What the government has done is requested independent labs to be able to create COVID testing to help with the other major labs such as Quest Diagnostics, Sunrise Labs, BioReference Labs, LabCorp. And so KBMO, I'm excited to say, has really rallied to the occasion and created a very simple at-home test that's very affordable. So I'd like to just briefly explain the test to you, and then if you're interested, how to order the test and get it delivered to your house. And then we can have a phlebotomist come to your house and do the blood draw. All right. So KBMO, this is the COVID-19. It's a rapid test. It was developed just recently in April 2020. I do know James White quite well. He's the president of the company, CEO, and Brent Dorval is a virologist and immunologist with the World Health Organization and was instrumental in bringing this test to market. So it's kbmodiagnostics.com. So this lab was founded in 2004 by Dr. Brent Duval. He's an MIT founder of the Rapid HIV Diagnostic Test. The patent was granted in 2012, detected of antigen-specific immune complexes. He's the owner of the C3D cell line and lipofilization technology to ensure quality and consistent results for our lead food sensitivity products. And like I said, I've been using that test for quite a period of time, and it's really helped patients that have had hidden inflammatory issues, looking at IgG, which is we're going to talk about. So IgG is a delayed sensitivity. IgE is a true food allergy, so they do IgG testing. They are an FDA-registered manufacturing facility and a CLIA, which is a big certification as a high-complexity lab. They have a 20,000 square foot facility right outside of Boston with a lot of technicians working there. And they have partners in Europe, Latin America, and Asia. So we all know that this started in Wuhan province in China. And actually, a lot of this technology came out of the Wuhan province in China. Okay. So James White, he's got 20 years experience in this, and he's launched multiple products from concept through FDA and on to commercial success. And like I said, I know him well. He's a great guy and a real smart guy. Brent Dorval is a PhD, MIT, and he's the founder and chief science officer for the company. 35 years, medical leadership, multiple patent product launches, invented the first 60-second HIV diagnostic test, and advisor to the World Health Organization for vaccines and diagnostic committee in Geneva. Anthony Recupero, which is the chief operating officer. So you can see that there's, that they know what they're doing. Multiple successful CLIA high complexity inspections. All right, so CLIA is a big certification to be able to get that at each state level, and then the FDA nationally. And Jihe is the lab director, PhD in microbiology and immunology, board certified lab director for the 3 US labs. Okay, good. So they have, this is their team of health technicians that are very experienced in doing lab tests. This is not a fly-by-night lab. It's not a brand new lab. They've been around for quite a period of time. The clinical team read 2.5 million assays in 2019, and they're ready now to do this for the COVID-19 testing. Okay, so just a little bit about the virus so that you understand the test a little bit better. There are four major proteins on the COVID-19, and then we call it a novel virus because it's new to the humans. We've never seen it before, so we don't have antibodies to it, and that's why you see the rapid rise of infection and hospitalization, and then unfortunately some deaths associated with this. A lot of deaths, all right? And one death is just too many. So there is a spike glycoprotein known as the S protein on the outer shell. And then it's an RNA virus, so it has RNA. There's DNA and RNA. This is an RNA virus and something known as the N protein. So the N protein is really what they're going to be looking at while doing this testing. And then there's the envelope around the virus. And then there's the hemoglobin esterase dimer also as well. So there are four major proteins in this. And now there are several different types of testing that go on. So there's isolation and culture, that's the gold standard, but you have to be extremely high complex lab because these things can get out and then they can really infect a large area. So that's not this type of lab. Nucleic acid, so that would look at DNA and RNA. Early diagnosis with high sensitivity and specificity. So that's a PCR. So that stands for polymerase chain reaction. And what that's looking at is if the DNA of the virus is there. And so that is detected early on in a virus, all right? But the IgM and IgG are different. And so we're going to go through that. And the PCR is relatively expensive. Antigen detection. So that's direct evidence of the infection. Specimen quality may affect the results easily. And so what this test does, looks at IgM antibodies and IgG. So we have antibodies in our body and they're known as immunoglobulins, Ig, and there's IgA, there's IgE, there's IgG, IgA, IgM, IgG. For our purposes, we're going to look at the IgM antibody and then again the IgG antibody. And the IgM is the earliest serum antibody with a high sensitivity and specificity. And then the IgG comes on a little bit later. But these individual differences in low immunity may delay antibody emergence. So somebody just got exposed to the virus, they might have a positive PCR, but the IgM would not show up, all right? So that's the one limitation, but it's really minimal for what we're looking at right here. So why do we test for IgM and IgG, all right? And you'll see here that the top line is that N protein, all right? And that's the IgG response. And you can see that it's relatively large. The middle line is the M protein, and then you see that doesn't really spike too much. And then there's the S protein. So we want to look really at the N protein because we won't miss it. And the IgG is a delayed sensitivity. And then IgM is not as pronounced, but it's still significant in that you see that. And then this is days after the illness onset. So we know that there's a 5-day latent period before the patient comes in contact with the virus before they start with symptoms. That's a 5-day latency period. And then 7 to 12 days before it really becomes, it can go downhill, and then the patient needs hospitalization. So we want to catch this, we want to be able to see if you developed IgM antibodies or IgG antibodies to the COVID-19 virus. Okay. So what the test looks at, it's very simple. So this is a pictogram right here of the test. Okay, let me go back right there, and I'll move this up out of the way a little bit. Okay, so this is a pictogram of the test, and you see the S slots on the bottom, and that is where the serum is going to go. And then you see IgM on the left and IgG on the right, and the C is the control. So if the T shows up with a purple line, that's a positive result. So for this patient here, they're negative on IgM, but positive on IgG. All right. And basically what they do is they have a patent with the colloidal gold, and it reacts with the antigen, and then you make an antibody to that. Or if you have an antibody, it will react, and you'll see it on the test results right here. Okay. So a positive would be 2 lines, the control and the T. A negative would just be the T. And then it's hard to screw up the test, but listening to the presentations that it can happen, but it would show up as being invalid. You see the 2 on the right. All right. So the IgM positive is the presence of 2 purple bands. The T and the C within the IgM result windows indicates positive for the 2019 COVID virus and the IgM antibody. And then the IgM positive is the presence of 2 purple bands, the T and the C. Within the IgG result window indicates positive for the IgG antibody. And negative would be only 1 purple band appearing at the control line. And then in the invalid if the control line fails to appear, no matter whether the T line is visible or not. So that means there could be insufficient specimen or something happened incorrectly. Now, you don't have to worry about this, and I don't have to worry about this, because there's going to be a phlebotomist that comes to your house. And instead of the phlebotomist going into your house, we can actually draw the blood in your porch or in the garage, so you don't have to have contact with the phlebotomist coming in. There's 6,000 phlebotomists for the company that KBMO has employed. So basically we can go in any city in the United States with a well-trained phlebotomist, and then it would get shipped overnight. There's a 24 to 48 hour turnaround, and then the results would come back either positive or negative. It's not like you have to interpret this yourself. Okay. All right, so the clinical data that's used for this this test is, this product is based on clear diagnosis exclusion criteria of the disease identified in the novel coronavirus pneumonia diagnosis and treatment program. And this was developed by the Chinese CDC. It has the FDA approval in China. KBMO did send a letter to the FDA to let them know, and they already have approval for the PCR testing and just waiting final approval for this test. The clinical significance is very, very high with a very high success rate. Okay. So the COVID IgM IgG rapid test was used in the cohort, the 300 clinically diagnosed patients. The PCR positive antibody, and you can see the high rates of specificity for early infection. Late infection is the IgG, and then IgM IgG would be the transition phase. And then you see for the PCR negative, but antibody positive, which can happen. And you can be PCR positive and IgG negative also. So the COVID-19 rapid test is clinically useful and more predictive than the PCR, because you can miss it on the PCR according to the percentage rates right here. Okay. All right, so they did the testing. The COVID-19 IgM IgG rapid test was used in a cohort, 202 healthy or fever patients in China. The PCR testing was not used or not available in this cohort of patients. The IgM, you can see, is 99% for early infection. The IgG, 98% for late infection. And IgG, IgM both showed up positive in the transition phase. All right. So this test is clinically useful even in the absence of PCR testing. Here you see from the Chinese government that they are approved to do testing. KBMO has partnered with this company in China and brought this testing to the United States, where this company in China has already tested 2 million people in Wuhan, China, where the virus originated from. Okay. So you see 2 million tests were run in Wuhan to date, and you see the total on the bottom. It says 50,000, but I think there are 40 kits per each box. So that's 2 million tests run to date so far. And these are at major universities in Peking University, Beijing, Children's Hospital in Fudan, Shanghai, and Wuhan. So I don't have to get into the specifics here, but know that the test has been very well validated. And if you've been watching the news, you know that we're using a lot of the technology for testing that has come out of Asia for this. They have the U.S. regulatory approvals. Like I said, they're a high, complex, CLIA approved lab in the United States. And they are able to do testing in all 50 states with the food sensitivity testing. So here you see the acknowledgement letter, and then this is clinical laboratory license, and the CMS is for Medicare. Okay, so this is how the test works now. We're going to have this test posted on our website. You need a physician recommendation in order to get the test. The test launch will be a blood draw, which is initial, and eventually there will be a finger stick. At this time, I'd rather not test patients in my own office for this for obvious reasons. We're trying to really keep anybody that thinks that they might be sick away from our practice. So the price is $100 plus $50, which includes overnight shipping to the client and back. So the test is $150. The phlebotomy drawer is $80. If there's 3 people in the house that want to get tested at the same time, then it would be $50 a person. And we're going to charge $99 to just manage the test so that you can get the test. We'll fill out the paperwork for you, make sure that that is handled for you, ship it, and then go over the results with you because it'll end up on my portal. So there is work required on our end, and we want to get this out to you as quick as possible. They will not ship the kit unless payment is received, so that's the $150. The turnaround time is 24 to 48 hours. The test must be ordered by me, and it's not available to the general public. And then the results are going to get loaded into my box. So I look at this as being really a great test, especially as we want to open up the economy. It'd be great to know if you're negative, and then you know you're negative. It'd be better to know if you were exposed to it and you already have immunity by developing antibodies. From what I've read, and I've been reading a lot on this and watching Institute for Functional Medicine webinars and reading the literature as fast as it's coming out, is that 80% of the people can get this virus and really not even know that they have it. So it'd be nice to know, including myself, if I've been exposed and then if I developed antibodies to this. So if you're interested, you can order the kit on SpineLife.com. There'll be a link for the KBMO diagnostic. You can give us a call, 631-271-0770, or you can email us at customerservice@SpineLife.com. We'll get right back to you, and we'll get the test ordered for you, and it'll give you some peace of mind. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Stay healthy.